In this video, we're going to find the vertex of a quadratic when it's written in general form, and then rewrite the equation in standard or vertex form. Just as a review, the general form of a quadratic is written in the form ax squared plus bx plus c. A, b, and c are all real numbers with a not equal to 0. Additionally, we can find the axis of symmetry using the formula x equals negative b over 2a. We can also notice that on your axis of symmetry will always be your vertex. The vertex h is going to be the exact same value as your x for your axis of symmetry. It is always located halfway between your two zeros. And then we can plug this into f of x to find the y value or the k value for your vertex. Once we have done that, you can then plug into standard form or vertex form, and then you have written a general form in the vertex or standard form. Let's look at an example. Identify the vertex of this quadratic, write in vertex form, and then sketch a graph. So I'm noticing here that a is equal to 2, b is equal to negative 6, and c is equal to 7. I can find my axis of symmetry by plugging into negative b over 2a. I'm going to plug in negative b. So negative, and then b is negative 6, all over 2 times 2. That gives me 6 over 4, or 3/2. And again, that axis of symmetry at x equals 3/2, my vertex is going to lie somewhere on that axis of symmetry. Since a is positive, I know that my parabola would open up. I just need to know what the y value is or what the k value is in order to figure out the full vertex point or location. So I'm going to plug that in. Plugging the x value in to my quadratic equation. And then I can find the y value or the output on that function when x is equal to 3 over 2. I get 2 times 9/4 minus, if I think about that as 6 over 1, 18 over 2, plus 7. That gives me 18/4 minus 9 plus 7. I could simplify that to 9/2, and negative 2 would be negative 4/2. Negative 2 coming from the combination of these two. And so I get 5/2. So my vertex must be at the point 5, 2. A is equal to 2, which is positive, so my parabola opens up, meaning that vertex would be a minimum point. And then I can just plug in to my vertex form to find that equation. Another way that we can do this is through completing the square. It's a little bit of a different method, but it will find you the same answer. By method of completing the square, what we're going to want to find is a number that I can add and subtract to my original general form so that I can get this into something squared plus another number. Well, if I factor out a 2, I'm left with, I'll write this down here. If I factor out a 2, then I'm left with x squared minus 3x plus something, and then 7 minus something. Again, knowing that the ultimate goal here is to get this in the form x plus or minus something squared. The way that I figure out what that piece is going to be is I take this middle term, I divide it by 2, and then I square it. That's the number that goes right here. The number that then goes right here is this inside piece. I'll show you why here in just a second. So I'm going to change this to x minus 3/2 squared. You can check that if you do x minus 3/2 times x minus 3/2, and you FOIL or you distribute binomial method, whatever method you use, you'll find that this gets you back to here. So again, the method is whatever this middle term is here, divide it by 2 and square it. That gets you your piece here. And then that number over 2 is what your h term is going to be. Now, I need to be very, very careful because I'm not going to then subtract out 9/4 because I have this 2 right here. I'm going to subtract out whatever 9/4 times 2 is. The reason is I need to add and subtract the same number so that I can get back to my original answer. And so I need to make sure if I do have an a that's not equal to 1, that I apply that here when I'm thinking about my subtraction. So this is going to be plus 7 minus 18/4 or 9/2. 7 would be 14/2. And so I end up getting 2x minus 3/2 squared plus 5/2. And if you notice, that is exactly the same answer that we got here. Now in this example, I did choose a little bit of a medium level question, if you will. Most of the time, you're going to end up having integers here and here, and it will be a lot easier mathematically. However, I wanted to show you one that was a little bit trickier in the example so that you have a good foundation, and when you're practicing, hopefully they're easier than this one.